you guys gaining quite a bit from the exercises so far?
Yeah.
Giving you a lot to think about?
Yeah.
How many of you guys consider yourself an inventor? Okay, how many consider themselves an entrepreneur? How many consider yourself a future entrepreneur? Okay, great. We've got a good mix, and hopefully we can convince you to think about some other ways that if you're not so, that you can, everything you see or do in a day has some other utility. But some things that people have invented make no sense, and you can create it in a better way. Today, what we plan to look at is you're going to learn about the definition, the difference between inventing and invention, and the difference between an inventor and an entrepreneur, and the intersection between those two. In addition to that, you're going to learn about the important steps of protecting your invention. Oh, I need two people. No, we need somebody who hasn't done it before. Come on, or someone else. You get it, yeah? Come on, you two men. Anybody else? Come on, you two. If you haven't done it before, come on. Okay, come on. Just have them pass it out. Let the kids pass them out. No matter what you do, how you do it, where you want to go, where you start with yourself. So the first question I have is, do you really know yourself? Do you know your strengths, your weaknesses? Do you know what you can become? So let's say if you want to be an inventor, where do you start? What is your best idea? Your best idea. And can I be both? If I'm an inventor, can I be an entrepreneur? A little closer. Okay. I need a tenure to the time. That's when you learn about this, right? Oh, okay. You speak out? Okay. All right. Good. Invention. What constitutes invention? It's a process of innovation, understanding how things work, why they work, or how to develop a novel device. It's either considered a method, a composition, an idea, or some useful process. It covers the entire spectrum of thought. Anything from music, written, scores, developing. You see the electronic instruments, all of that is part of an invention, those are processes. And whether it's not, if you want to manufacture, design, or inventive processes, so you deal with creative aspects of your training. Some of the things you do, you improve machines, you find ways of things that did not exist before, and that is recognized as a product of some unique intuition or genius, as is distinguished from basic mechanical skill, where you're talking about. Remember the gentleman before, Brunel? Dr. Brunel, he talked about the difference. There are no jobs, there are opportunities. And in order to create your own destiny, you either work for someone or you work for yourself. But sometimes you have to do both. So that part of it is, while you're finding what you want to do, you need the skills of working with some structured environment, but you need to create an opportunity, because the other part of one of the things that we probably need to look at over time is how will you survive after you consider that you want to retire. If you want to retire at 30, can you take half of what you made at that point you live? If you want to retire at 65, can you live off of half of that if your bills are the same? You have to do some forward planning. Okay, so it can be a mechanical skill, it can involve craftsmanship. It's an instance of creation, producing by the exercise of imagination, especially in the art of music. Disney World, they have what are called Imagineers. They create the future. When you go there, you find that you don't want to leave unless you think they're killing you. Those are the things, because they make the novel, they create an atmosphere, an environment It makes you say, how could I ever think about that? So they're basically, again, there are four categories for invention. One is a process, the other is a machine, the other is a manufacturing activity or composition. Now, what you have when you create something, it's called intellectual property. Remember we talked about mathletes, you have mental agility. What happens in that mental agility is what's yours is what you create inside of your brain, and you put it on paper, or however you want to constitute. It's called intellectual property. And in order for someone not to take it, if it's not patented or some other one, copyrighted or one of the other ways, it can't be taken. So you want to protect that. One of those ways to do that is a patent. A patent legally protects intellectual property and the rights of the inventor. Patent is legally says that a claimed invention is actually an invention. The rules and the requirements for patenting an invention may vary from country to country, but they are often very expensive. One of the things that you saw Dr. Gandy, he provided you with a very simple devices about how to keep air out from your windows, your plugs and outlets. And, those were very simple, but they had patent. Sometimes you see things that say patent pending, because it can cost starting at between $20,000 and above. But there are some things, there are some sites that I'll show you later about you can do it yourself. An inventor is the individual who was the first to develop or manufacture something. And an inventor may invent something totally from scratch or may build upon an already established foundation, something that exists that they want to create. And the first statement is a little bit controverted because oftentimes there's conflicts in who actually invented something. It's who actually got it patented. It's not necessarily the person who was the original inventor. Sometimes people move a little bit quicker than the other. And that often happens when you have people in two different countries competing for the same idea. Whoever patents it first. That's right. Okay. Remember yesterday, some of the greatest inventions are often the most simple ones. Whoever invented the paperclip, can you imagine what they make on residual? Is there anybody who doesn't use a paperclip? Yeah. So those types of things are very simple. They help millions of people achieve an everyday activity that could not be achievable. When you guys were talking about different things of how to save issues in the world, there's a nonprofit that if you have, there are countries throughout the world that do not have enough protein in their diet. So this one company went together and put together something like a little squeezable peanut butter. And it can go into the hottest climate, coldest climate, and they organize it and they send it out to a nonprofit. I mean, peanut butter comes in everything. No one ever really thought about putting it in a tube or, just a little plastic things like you pull off from ketchup. And it's a way of getting nutrition to a person who has not had anything to eat. Times where there are great famine or wars and things like that. So those are inventions that are for the good of mankind. And it's just as simple as both of the ingredients exist, packaging, the peanut, Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver, if they had patented that, this place would, it would look like Carnegie Delta. Do you guys know any of the patents that have changed the world or any of the ideas? Can you name a few? Pardon me? Say it loud. I did.
He said telephone.
Telephone is one, yes. The light bulb. I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing today. Any others?
Network power system.
Network. Okay. Traffic lights. Solar power, that's right. Telegram. Yeah, that started a big revolution. So there are a lot of, pardon me? Computer. Is there anything you can think of that has not been invented that you have an idea about that you want to share?
No. You didn't take on that. I don't know anything.
Microphone? No. Anybody want to share anything like that? You have an idea? Go
It's not
ahead.
here this year. It tends to happen when I'm looking for something or I need something.
Wait.
And I just get bed for the moment.
Say it louder. You want to talk? Come on.
I can't think on the spot of something that I could invent, but in certain moments when you need something or you're looking for something, you tend to invent to substitute for what you're looking for.
Right. Invention is made out of necessity. Necessity is the mother of invention, is a famous quote. And so what you're saying is that I can't find something, I need to do something, I'll do it. Okay? Next question, are you an inventor? Do you know an inventor? Do you know how to protect your invention? There are three different types we'll discuss today: trademark, patent, or copyright. As I talked earlier, intellectual property is what's between your head and what you keep and what you want to pay, someone to pay you for. Okay, some people often confuse the difference between a patent, a trademark, and a copyright. They are not the same. They have various similarities. Yeah, patent has a different, patents don't cover everything. They cover mechanical and different devices. They would not be the same as if you were going to say copy a score for music or something. So each one has a different way. Okay, we'll come to that. Okay. A patent is the grant for an invention or a property. It gives you the right to own it as if it was property. It's issued by the United States Patent and Trademark Office. In that, when you own something, it's sort of like everybody bought a house for the most part last night. What do you receive when you buy that house? You have a piece of paper, right? You have a deed, something that the government says that's mine. And you may owe the bank for a number of years, but technically you're responsible for that property. So this is likened to a deed. It has a typical term of 20 years from the date which the application is approved, not the date that you submitted it, because there may be multiple revisions. And a mortgage typically is 30 years, or you can go less than that, 15, or other ones. Okay, where is it good? Your patent, if it is in the United States, is only good in the United States. Someone else can have that same idea and patent it elsewhere. And we're talking about the U.S. territories, the U.S. possessions. So it's location specific. What does it do? Yeah, what does it do?
It stops somebody else from inventing the same thing. You have, if somebody else try to invent what you have and you already have that patent number on there, or either like if you can put in that patent number to pull up what invention that was and who made it. It tells you who invented it.
That's very good. That's really very, very good. It has the right to exclude others from making, using, offering, for sale or selling the invention in the United States or importing the invention into the United States. That's like if someone else has that same product outside the United States, you have the right to refuse it. Let me tell you, what is granted is not the right to make, use, offer for sell or import, but the right to exclude others from using or making or offering for sale your child. Now the catch on this is, a patent is expensive. What's even more expensive is enforcing it. Federal government does not enforce that someone else is bringing the same thing that you've taken all this time to make. You have to go after the company or the person saying that I am the only one with this. You have to cease and desist. You cannot do this. So that's the difference. There's no enforcement from the patent office. You have to pursue them. There are three types of patents. There's a utility patent, there's a design patent, and a plant patent. Okay, a utility patent may be granted when you have anyone who invests or discovers a new and useful process. Either that of a machine or an article, or manufacturer, or a composition of material, or any new or useful improvement to an existing object. Okay, design patents. They can be granted to anyone who invents new, original, and ornamental design for an article or manufacturer. Who had that ring I had the other day that I found in the ladies' room? You could, Alexis, somebody could have patented that because it was so unique. Or it may have been something that's been taken from years ago. But then no one else can do that. But you would have to go out and enforce that. That's a patentable design. Shoes. Remember those shoes that rock, those rockers when you were walking with motion? What were they called? Yeah, shape-ups. Yes, shape-ups. That was a patented idea. It had issues, but no one else was supposed to do that. It changed the design of how something was made. It added a feature. So that was a patented idea. A plant patent is something that involves DNA or RNA. It may be granted to anyone who invests or discovers and asexually reproduces any distinct and new variety of plant. There's an issue going on, why I said DNA, is because there's genomics. People are patenting these, sequencing of genes and specific for that. So that's a new area. And it should be there, but I didn't find it on the web. Okay, now, a copyright is another way of protecting your IP. A copyright protects the works of authorship, such as writings, music, and other works of art that have been tangibly expressed. Something that you know, you design, you develop, that's yours. These PowerPoints are copyrighted because they came from what I put together. I spent the time developing that. So that's a copyright. You would have to ask for permission or give me credit for using these. And Dr. Spears, I forgot. Okay. A trademark. Can you guys name any types of trademarks? Coca-Cola. Nike. Pepsi. Yeah. Burger King. You guys are very familiar. A trademark is a word, phrase, symbol, or design that identifies and distinguishes the sources of goods of one party from the others. When you were a child, when your parents passed by that McDonald's sign, you didn't even know how to say McDonald's. But you knew you wanted a Happy Meal. You guys, when you were an infant, but it was that symbol, that's what you referred to. A service mark is a word, phrase, symbol, or design that identifies and distinguishes the source of services rather than the goods. There's a difference there. The term trademark is often used to refer both to trademarks and service marks. So back to the question, are you an inventor? Are you an entrepreneur? Yes, you can be. The things that you have to practice are saying positive affirmations to yourself in spite of what everyone else is thinking. You have to know that you can do it, you can achieve it. You have to practice saying it as a professional. You know that the little guy, he works with Google now, he developed a new app.